Good morning, everyone, and all getting ready for this coming Shabbos. This Shabbos we're taking our 3 Sefer Torahs, as we know. The Parsha of the week, Isha Ki Tazriah, Rosh Chodesh, and a very special Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Rosh Chodesh that we're coming into the month of redemption, and also Parsha Achodesh Hazeh Lachem that we're reading, and we're going to have 3 Sefer Torahs, so it makes a very special Shabbos. A Shabbos that we're coming to redemption. And as we know, 3, the Rebbe spoke about it many times, the idea of Chazaka. Let's not get into all this, but it's definitely a Shabbos that we really keep strong, and we love this kind of Shabbos. But let's share one point in this week's Parsha. It really relates to everything, to the Rosh Chodesh, to Achodesh Hazeh Lachem, to month of Nisan, but let's do something very, very short. And in this week's Parsha, we're learning about the mitzvah of the bris. We'll learn Isha Ki Tazriah v'yalda zachar, and then it says Bayom Hashmini Mol Psar Ulato, the 8th day we do the circumcision. And as we know, it's very special, the 8th day, that this is the time of the bris. And why specifically the 8th day? And what's so special about the 8th day? We can see it because the mitzvah of the bris is a mitzvah that postpones Shabbos. Meaning to say, when you do the bris, you don't look up at the regulations of Shabbos, you do the bris even on Shabbos. You don't push off Shabbos because of the bris. And the reason is, even though Shabbos is so important, so great, you can't do anything on Shabbos, the bris is still greater than Shabbos. Or the reason is, as we said before, the bris comes from the 8th day, number 8. Shabbos is number 7. 7, as great as it is, but it's a part of the limitation of the world. 8 means you're breaking the limitations. It's above and beyond anything. And as we know, the difference between now and Mashiach, now we can only reach to number 7. Mashiach is going to be number 8. As we know, Mashiach is going to have the harp at 8 strings, as is being explained in many places. So number 8 resembles that to break out of limitations. And that's the idea of the bris. The bris is in the 8th day. Why the 8th day? Because the bris has got to represent a bond between a Jew and Hashem that's above all limitation, breaking all boundaries. That's the idea of the bris. Kibris beinu beinichem, Hashem said, it's a bond between me and you. Or when it's a bond, as we know what's the concept of a bond, there is no explanations, no reasons, it's just reconnected. On that connection, on that bond that we have with Hashem through the bris, that's the 8th day, above limitations. And this is why it's even greater in a certain sense than Shabbos, because Shabbos is only 7. This is why we do the bris on Shabbos too, because bris is the ultimate connection. As we learned about it last week's parsha, Bayom Hashmini, that only at the 8th day, this was the day where Hashem revealed Himself in the Mishkan, as being explained at length last week. As we know, by the way, the 3 Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, this is the Yom HaShmini that we learned last week. It really was Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And long explanation why Rosh Chodesh Nisan, because Chodesh Nisan is also a month that we get out of our limitations. It's above and beyond. And that's the beauty of the bris, the beauty of the circumcision. And this is why, as we see through our generations, and many generations before, there was always, unfortunately, decrees. We learned the Gemara, a lot of times decrees about not doing a bris. And Jews fought for it, but a bris. As we know the famous story with Rabbi Nasi when he was a baby, and it was a decree from the Romans not to do the circumcision, and the parents did the circumcision, and not to bring the kid to Rome. It's a whole long story, I can't get into it right now. And he became Rabbi Nasi. The beauty of the mitzvah of the bris. And as we see that the bris is something that people do it no matter what. And no matter what religion, a level of religion you are, bris is something that always stays with us. Just wanted to share a short little story about the beauty of the bris, how strong we are in it. And why again? Because it's the number 8, it's above limitation. And this is why we all have that craving and desire to do it. As we see so many Jews that came out of Russia that they couldn't do the bris in those days, before the 90s, but everything was so hard. And as no matter how old they are, everybody's open to do the bris because they feel the importance. Just wanted to share one little story in Russia itself. In the olden days, when it was so difficult to do a bris on kids. Not only difficult, you could have gone to jail for this. You could have been in Siberia for this, because they made a rule that if you do a bris on a baby, it means you're putting the kid in danger, and if you put even your own kid in danger, you deserve a severe punishment for that. And there's a famous story of the parents. They didn't want to do the bris on the kids because they themselves didn't observe anymore. But when the parents went on vacation, they left the kid with the grandfather. The grandfather called the moyel when he says, let's do a bris discreetly before the parents come back. Because the grandfather was, how could we have a grandson without a bris? And the moyel went and he did the bris. When the parents came back from vacation, they saw the kid circumcised. They told the grandfather, what you do? You're babysitting, what happened? So he said, listen, I'm sorry, but I couldn't handle it. I needed to do a bris on my grandson. I can't. They were very upset, but not upset because of the bris. They were upset because they were nervous that the people are going to find out and they'll be arrested for that. So they put the blame on the grandfather, but they told the grandfather, who did the bris? So he said, the moyel, this Jewish fellow. They didn't want to put their father into trouble, so they put the moyel into trouble, and they went to the police and they gave a complaint that this moyel did a circumcision on their son without permission. It became a big court case. I'm not getting into the whole story. It was a big court case, and it became, they wanted to make a whole thing about it in the Soviet of those days. That people put kids in danger as a little baby, do such a thing on him, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, in those days, a lot of the Soviets were Jewish people. So this moyel, he was called to court, and the prosecutor was Jewish, the judges were Jewish, the witnesses were Jewish, everybody Jewish, all against him. And the prosecutor gives a long speech how bad this moyel is. He puts a little kid in danger and deserves for this to be really killed. He should be paid for this with his life, but at least he'll go to Siberia for 20 years. And then the witnesses come in. It's becoming a case for history, and the judges are waiting for to give like a real heavy, horrible verdict on this moyel. And then by the last minute before the verdict, they tell the moyel, you know, as the law is, you got to defend yourself too. You have anything to say? So the moyel says, he was an older Jew, and he says, definitely I have to say something. He says, I hear it until now how dangerous it is. I put a kid in danger and he could have died, and so on and so forth. I have to say one thing. And he looks on the prosecutor and the witnesses and on the judges. He says, I know you all, and I did the bris on all of you. Are you in danger? Good. Why are you blaming me? Can you imagine at the end of the story was they started blushing and turning white and yellow and purple, and it was dismissed. His innocency of the smile, he says, I don't know what you want. I just did a bris and a baby. Everything is good. Why I remind myself of the story? It just brings out the beauty of Am Yisrael, that we have that feeling in us of the bris, that this is the bond with Hashem. So even the most hardest times in Am Yisrael, we always tried and worked undercovered to be able to do the bris, because we want the bond. Have yourself a good Shabbos, and in Mitzvah Hashem we should have the real bond with Hashem, the bond of the Geula, the bond of Mashiach, before this Shabbos, before becoming to the month of Nisan.